Bucci. Oh, now I'm calling the meeting to order. First is the roll call. Marilyn Manish Bucci.
Mary Ellen Anderson.
Tara Alcock.
Deborah O'Gara. Barb Fish. And so we have a quorum, and I'd like to acknowledge that we have a Zoom in, John McCabe.
Hi,
John.
John.
Hi, Don. Can you hear us okay? No. Why can't you hear us?
Maybe he doesn't have
Can you
his
hear us?
audio turned on.
John?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh, okay, great. I'm trying to figure out how to.
Yeah. Okay, so approval of the minutes, the previous minutes. Do I hear
I move that we approve the minutes as written.
And I'll second. Okay, there's a second. I guess I don't even see them, but that's okay. All those in favor?
They were in the email.
Were they here?
They were in the email.
And I have them.
Oh, they were in the
But
email.
everyone had a chance to review them?
Yes.
Yes.
Well, I didn't, I
I have
have
a
to say,
copy.
because my life is crazy. But they've never had much of a problem before.
No,
So,
it's true.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Amendment and approval of meeting agenda.
I have somebody who asked me a question, and I don't know if we want to, is what exactly do you do during inventory?
I can talk about that under the inventory closure.
Perfect. Perfect.
Great.
And
Okay.
then, I'm wondering, like, we had talked about, having a, I don't know, I don't want to call it conference. We did that planning session with the gals from Haynes and. I
Yes,
think I
that
talked
comes
to you.
up, on my report as well.
Oh, perfect.
I
Okay.
move to approve the agenda.
I second the motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, persons to be heard related or unrelated to agenda. So do you want to speak now, John, or do you want to wait until we talk about the art education endowment?
Yeah, I just wait till it comes up on the agenda. That'd be fine.
Okay,
Okay.
all right, so director's report. Library director's report first.
So the inventory closure, we were closed from March 4th through March 8th, and, it was super productive, way more productive than I thought. We basically did the entire library, the exception of the teen room and maybe some of the smaller children's collections,
Wow,
but
that's great.
I was expecting half of that amount to be done. We were very efficient for a couple of reasons. One is that DVD theft is way down, so we don't have to open up every single case the way we used to.
I didn't realize you had DVD theft
Yeah,
problem.
we've had on and off.
Yeah.
Sticky fingers, and so that seems to not be a problem anymore, so that
good.
made it go way fast, and also about 7 or 8 years ago, we decided to move, hey, Alec.
Thank you. Sorry, I'm late.
That's okay, thanks for sending me a text. I knew you were coming.
We're on the director's report currently.
So anyway, we moved the barcodes from the inside of the book to the outside of the book.
Oh, yeah, that's huge.
That's change.
Huge.
Understand.
I started doing that at the
So
elementary.
we can whip out an inventory now, apparently, in
Mhm.
4 days. So, and so it really ties up our catalog. So that's what we do for the person who wants to know. Is we go through every single item. And then we mark it as inventoried, and then I run reports in the system, and I'm able to identify everything that's missing. And then, someone on staff will go and check the shelf for everything that did not get inventoried, and then we mark all that stuff missing officially in the catalog, so it's invisible to people, so nobody comes in here looking for that stuff.
Mhm.
And also, other libraries can't place holds on it, so it's like, it saves us a ton of time during the year to have a catalog that's really in sync with what's actually out on the shelves.
Are a lot of items misplaced?
Some, I wouldn't say a lot, it depends, and sometimes we'll find that, and then we'll try and figure out why. Sometimes
Okay.
it's a page issue, and sometimes we have a confusing system in some place that we want to fix, and so it identifies a ton of problems with our, as you know, with our data. Like, we see mistakes with our cataloging, we see mistakes with shelving, and we're able to like fix the majority of them, so it makes life easier for everybody.
Mhm. So
Thank you.
I have a question also that I just thought of when you mentioned the teen room, and you said that's the one you didn't really get to go through. So have you noticed maybe any books missing, like incidents that are happening down south where they're just going in and taking books out, but they don't want people to read. Oops,
No, we haven't really noticed anything.
okay,
Oh, that's good.
okay,
And there's occasional.
Yeah.
Regarding sex that is misplaced in the stats. We've had that occasionally, but
okay.
I think that happens for a variety of reasons.
That was very
Sure.
common at the Seattle Public
It's
Library.
been common for as long as
When I
I've been
worked
in
there.
libraries.
And in the teen room, how do you decide? Like, books that are, does it start at 11 or 12? The books that are aimed at 11 or 12 would go up to 18, or how do you decide that?
You know, I have, I'd like to get Corey's input on that, because she
Okay,
oversees that collection, but basically it's 12 to 18.
okay,
That's
okay.
roughly, and so we look at reviews for the book, we look at content of the book. And then the way that publishers, publish books now, it's
Mhm.
usually fairly obvious what the age ranges are, and so we try and stick with whatever the publisher
Mhm.
has recommended, so.
Is anything that has Scholastic on it considered a teen or?
No, Scholastic is a publisher for youth, it covers everything from
Okay,
little kids to, and it would gear into the Jade collection, I think
Okay.
Scholastic is very much a.
I'm just thinking for the book sales, those books should go with the. No, with the kids' books, yeah,
Mhm.
okay.
Okay,
Thank you.
anything else?
For
from me?
clarifying.
That anybody would like to know? Okay. New tables. Those of you that have ever rented the community.
Yes. Or help set it up.
We have thrown back out with the tables in there, which weigh a ton,
Uh-huh.
Yes, I do.
and are very awkward. And thankfully, they're starting to fall apart. Very glad, because I've been ready to get rid of those ever since we first met them 10 years ago. And so the problem, of course, being is that very expensive to replace, about $8,000. The good news is that, I was able to patch together the money to do it using, donation from the friends, proceeds from the sale of the sweatshirts, which continue to sell very well, and the remainder of the capital fund from construction.
So the reason they're so expensive is because you have the hookups in the middle of them, some of
We
them?
actually won't have the holes in the tables this
Oh,
time.
okay, good.
There's, school stuff, it's
Yeah.
basically heavy duty school stuff,
Okay.
all the furniture in here, that's why it lasts so long.
Yes.
It's very expensive, like these chairs, you know, they cost a lot, but I
Sure.
can't believe how great they look after.
Mhm.
decades
Yes,
of
yes.
use.
Will the new
So,
tables have be able to be rolled?
you will not have to ever pick them up.
Good.
Vivian selected them because she was like, she's.
That's
suffers the
hilarious.
most from
Yeah.
tables.
Will it be here in April?
No, unfortunately, ship date is like mid-May or
Oh,
something, so we hope to have them by summer reading program when we use our fun and
For the
summer time, so yeah, it's good to,
Great.
good to get that problem fixed finally. So the research project that I talked to you about and everybody
Mhm.
gave me answers to the questions, either by email or with an interview, and thank you, everybody. It was
Mhm.
yeah, good to have that experience, and I tell you, it was absolutely wonderful to all these people. I mean, I talked to all sorts of different kinds of people, and got
Yeah.
responses from all different kinds of people, so
Good.
50 as of exactly 50 responses, and I've pretty much, closed down the online questionnaire, and it's, which is way more than my target, which was 30. And just about maybe a third of those people that interviews with me where we sat down,
Uh-huh.
and it's just so interesting and enriching, and the nature of the questions were such that, what is your ideal community?
Mm.
So
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah,
Took a while to respond, actually. I
Yeah,
had to
tough
really
question,
think about
yes.
them.
right.
Yeah, and lots of people that I invited didn't do it, because I think they looked at those questions and thought, wow. I didn't think about that, so it was really good, and I did get to meet with 2 assembly members in person and a couple additional out, so.
Interesting.
So it was really, it was a pretty, it sounds like doing a listening project with people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
they think of what their experience in our community is,
Mhm.
and sort of what their aspirations for our community are, and it was really neat. I enjoyed it a lot more than, I mean, I was expecting to enjoy it, but
Right.
I actually really, really loved it, so.
Huh.
So what happens with all this data?
Yes,
that we
that's
collect?
right. My next
That's the question. So, now it's all with the research team, which that group of folks is actually scattered throughout academic institutions in the country. And actually, my particular contact is in Mexico City. And so that goes to them now, and they'll thankfully transcribe the audio interviews for us. And I've asked that they provide us with a compilation of all the information. It's gonna be stripped of all identifying information.
That's my question was.
Yes,
Yeah.
definitely make sure of that, although they don't know the nature of connections in small towns, and so I imagine when I get it, I'll pick it up even more. 'Cause yeah, it's almost hard not to tell who certain people are.
Right,
And so, I don't know when they will actually get that work done for us, but I'm thinking maybe in the wintertime, we'll see some results, and then I'll see what I get from them, and then I'm hoping to turn that around and make it the groundwork for doing service planning session.
okay,
We
okay,
have done in the past.
Right.
That's the girls from Haynes.
Right.
Thing that Marilyn mentioned earlier.
Yes,
Yeah.
excellent.
yeah, it was
Yeah, of
really
course, the
good.
girls from Haynes are now retired. But I was actually thinking about Nicole McMorrin.
She's a good SME.
And also, if anyone knows any other potential facilitators, we will need a facilitator for this.
Yeah.
Right,
Because it's, as you also would say, a big hairy ball. It's gonna be a lot of information that we're gonna get.
right,
Yes.
So we
right.
need somebody to like walk us through a process
Mm-hmm,
that gets us
Mhm.
to a good service plan.
yeah, yeah,
Are you hoping for a volunteer person or will that be?
No, I
something
want a
you will-
professional.
Okay.
I
right,
mean, we could pay, and I would expect that we would for the
Right.
kind of quality product that we're looking for.
Would the two people you're talking about come out of retirement to do it?
I doubt it. I could ask them, but I mean, they're off traveling.
Because they were very good.
yeah,
But we don't need to go quite as in depth, I think. I think the main thing we just need to do is there are ideas there are viable, what we've done before,
mm-hmm,
and don't need to try again. What we have the
Right.
resources for, what we don't have the resources for. I think we have to kind of handle it carefully because a lot of but first of all, mostly people said, you guys are doing awesome, which is really cool to hear. But a lot of what is suggested is basically a heap of work for the program director.
oh, right.
Heap of work. I said, Victoria, I don't even want to show you this.
Oh.
Because it'll just like stress you out. And we're not gonna do it all. We're gonna do, what we have the resources to do.
Right.
We're gonna do it, intentionally based on what the priorities of the library and mission is. And so we're gonna work through that process with a facilitator to kind of narrow it down, like we've done in the past, for those of you that have been
Yeah,
part of the sessions.
They're good at that.
Yeah, there's so many fun ideas.
Mm-hmm,
We just have to
that's
kind of
cool,
yeah.
tackle what we can do well.
Mhm.
right, right,
Well, and it could be that there's other institutions in town that might take on some, if we can't do certain things. I know there's Parks and Rec, there's
And the museum or,
PIA, there's a lot of other organizations
Yeah.
that are community focused that
Yeah.
might be interested if we
Mhm.
throw it out there and say, hey, this came up, but we can't do it. Anybody else? Or,
Mhm.
Yeah.
just a thought.
Yeah, yeah,
That's
because
good thought.
people's ideas were based on their idea of the ideal community, so
Mhm.
very interesting. And in
right,
some ways, people's idea about what their ideal community is almost more helpful to us because we know what's possible in the library world,
Mhm.
probably more than anybody walking down the street is gonna know. And so it's very interesting to take the sort of community wellbeing
Mhm.
approach.
Mhm.
And figure out what we can do to
Mhm.
continue to hone our focus on that particular.
right,
So,
right.
Yeah, so that's the research project where it's at right now. Does anyone have any questions?
a lot
Yeah,
of time.
eager to see the results.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it was interesting.
I'm curious, did you say your person, contactor, is in Mexico City?
Yeah,
But is it a US project or is this a,
it's a US project. She's just teaching in Mexico.
oh,
at the
okay,
university.
okay, that's where I was like
It's not, is it
confused.
Mexico City or New Mexico?
Mexico City.
Mexico City.
It's very interesting. She's born to Nigerian parents and she's teaching at the University of Mexico and she's American. And she's very international.
Yeah.
No,
What, how,
wow.
Very interesting that way.
so how did she become part of this program if she's teaching in Mexico City?
The university world is connected.
Yeah.
across-
Okay,
across campuses,
Disciplines.
thanks to these-
Yeah.
interesting,
And a new-
nice.
Yeah.
What is
it's
her
interesting.
field of academia?
Yeah.
Communications.
Oh,
Communications.
that's good.
Yeah.
Origin.
Mhm.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay,
That's the research project.
Fascinating.
that sounds great. Now we have the program coordinators.
I'll also add that I'm gonna be out of the office March 25th.
Oh, okay, you will, okay.
Okay, program coordinators report. So the Build a Better World Reading Challenge wrapped up. Julianne Thompson, who waters our plants and weeds our gardens.
Oh, great.
Winner. She chose Beat the Odds and they're going to receive a $500 cash prize.
Mm-hmm.
We had 87 people sign up and 17 people complete the challenge. 38,000 minutes were read. Overall participation in the program was a bit down over previous years. We've kind of used the same theme as philanthropic twist, I think for 4 or 5 years now. And I think it needs a refresh. So we might take a year off next year and then start again with something completely different. If we're inspired, we'll start a new one next year. So
That's an interesting thought, because I always partake in it, but I did not this year. Part of it was because I was gonna be gone for part of it, and it was like, oh, am I gonna remember to sign in every day and
Yeah.
record, and you know, when you're traveling about, you read a little bit here, how much did I read today? I don't know. It was
Yeah.
just too much to think about, so I didn't do it.
I think it needs a bit of a refresher, I agree. So we're gonna
Cool,
think about what.
good idea.
Andrew Weathers wrapped up Curiosity Creates in February and does not plan to continue teaching the program. She will be missed. It's been quite important having her as a regular teacher. So yes, the end of an era.
Maybe there'll be maybe someone new has moved to town that is as enthusiastic or something.
Yeah, well, the good news is Ashley Lore, although we don't have her for a long period of time.
Right.
Giving her now earring making, still very, very popular and, yeah, so she's gonna do after school programming for us, once or twice a month, at least
Right.
for the short term.
Sure, until September
Yeah,
or whenever.
and the watercolor workshop,
said-
obviously there's a missing sentence there.
Yeah,
The P. O'Reilly held a 3-day, 13-hour watercolor workshop in early May. It was full to capacity, the way her workshops always
what
are.
do you mean early?
Early March.
Right, thank you.
Thanks.
I was like, man,
Yeah.
why are we?
Long time ago.
It was either a long time ago or we're thinking
Yeah.
ahead.
Let's try March. And anyway, it was fantastic. It's interesting. I've taken 2 of them now. And it's interesting how they're creating like this group of watercolor people that get together and just play. We're not project focused in these classes.
Sure.
We've been taking them, we just literally just get together and we're creative for 13 hours.
Wow.
And by the end of it, you just don't want it to end.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
nice.
Martha and I both took it and we went home and painted some more.
Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah, it was really great.
That shows you what, how much you're getting from the class, that your enthusiasm level is so high.
Yeah, she's
That's
very
cool.
talented in just creating that environment for whatever it is that people want to
Mhm.
come out and. Yeah, they're great. And so that was, I should also mention, funded by the Art Education Endowment in part.
Oh, right.
So that was one of the programs you guys approved at the last meeting. Spintronics. So it's a program for ages 10 to 15. What is Spintronics? It's basically like engineering program. Kids create mechanical circuits.
Oh.
Oh, that's
Game
fantastic.
construction. It's very popular. And we're using our Paige, Adrian, and volunteer from the Forest Service, Marissa Cunningham, to help teach the program, so. Quilting display, maybe everybody noticed the quilts.
It's fantastic.
Rain
I
country
know,
quilters.
stunning.
Brought those to us, and I guess there's a larger community-wide display. Let's see. Medical Center Health Fair. I will be participating in the health fair with a booth of health-related library materials and a sand table to occupy young children and adults browse. And we'll be giving away, there'll be a drawing for a sweatshirt as well.
Oh, nice.
Nice.
I'm sorry, but I like the browse word.
Oh, browse, oh. What's a spell check?
Good old spell check.
Spell check.
Yeah.
I know, spell check is crazy. And you know,
I turned mine.
oh, that's a good
Turned it
one.
off. Let's see,
Thank you.
April, the Humane Association will be celebrating 25 years, and they're going to use our community room for a party, and we are going to have a display for everybody.
Very cool.
Summer reading, and there's another word missing, goodness, with the help of Barb, Stelz, not this Barb, but our
Yeah,
Barb,
right.
Stelz. Kari is gonna be expanding our summer partnership with the school's free lunch program. They're gonna offer free snacks for kids in certain library programs and plan to offer a reading program twice a week in the cafeteria. So it's kind of a way to get kids.
I love this.
That's a great idea.
And so basically, there'll be an opportunity to like get the kids to enter their reading, so that they get to be eligible for the prizes in the
Right.
program, so they get to meet that
They need that help.
connection.
And get them in a routine of doing it too.
Yes, and they'll know when they go there that they can record their reading and.
Right.
prize in the program.
This is a
So,
great
Yeah.
idea.
Yeah, yeah.
Great.
Natural fit.
Yeah, we've been looking for years for this sort of thing, and it's all falling together under the.
Right.
program. It's really cool. We're also.
Is there, is it, what are the meals?
What are they eating?
Yeah, is there, do they, it says lunch, but, and then it says breakfast. Are they having lunch and breakfast?
I think they have lunch and breakfast.
Uh-huh.
So they
All
come to the
through.
cafeteria and they eat. a
Yeah.
meal.
I think so.
And that's during the
Either
summer.
lunch or
5 days.
breakfast.
We have both available.
Uh-huh.
So
Yeah,
the
they
kids
have,
can choose.
what is it, 8 to 9 and then,
I'm not sure the hours.
yeah, and then noon to 1 or something like that.
It's either or.
5 days of,
No.
no,
They can do both. And they've been providing free lunches for all kids all year long this year, which is
5 days,
really
yeah.
nice. So
yeah.
no browbeating kids for their lunch
Oh,
money
yeah.
or their, you know,
They got a big award.
the kids who
Yeah,
don't
they just-
have.
they just had
Yes.
an award for-
Mhm.
Yeah.
They run a
that's really cool.
spectacular program up there.
Yeah. So we're happy to partner with them again. This is like the third or fourth year in a row we partner with them in some capacity, so it's always been very beneficial for us.
Thank you,
Hope it lasts for
Kara
next year too.
and Kari.
Yes.
So now we have unfinished business, the FY 25 fund budget request. So on this one, will we need to have, after we talk about it, we need like a vote?
Yes,
Okay.
that would be great.
Okay,
Is this a given? This is proposed.
This is proposed, so what happens is that, once I field questions from you guys and you take your vote, then I send it to Jody and Steve downtown, and then they get all the departments' budgets together. And then they crunch the big numbers, or this little number in context of the $10+ million budget. That is the borough budget, and then get asked to potentially adjust the budget accordingly. So,
the only one I have a question about, it, because the other two are self-explanatory, is small tools and equipment.
yes.
Like, what are we buying?
Oh, so Windows 11.
That's a lot.
So,
Windows 11.
next October, some computers cannot run Windows 11.
Oh,
In fact,
okay,
Lots of computers cannot run
Really?
Windows 11.
okay,
And so we happen to have, because Chris is really good at keeping our computers going.
Mhm.
And so we don't spend a lot on new computers, actually always less than I anticipate. She just keeps them chugging along. Well, you can't get past the fact that it won't update the operating system.
oh my gosh,
Completely
Okay.
hamstrung by that, so we probably will have to replace between like probably 7 and
Oh,
10
okay.
computers.
yeah, I just wondered, because that's such a huge leap there, I was like, this has gotta be something big.
And it's a one-time thing,
Uh-huh.
and if it doesn't end up getting funded, well, what happens if we don't update the operating system? We'll figure that out. And in the meantime, computer use, our computer use is down because everybody wants, their own computer now.
Right,
But still, we do serve enough people. that
Sure.
We need to keep a good fleet of computers.
I mean, every time I come in, someone is at the computers.
Yes,
It may just be one person, but there's someone there every time I come in here.
Well, it's also, they can come in here with their own computer and there's somebody over there who was, and they can.
or check
work
out
on-
the laptop.
Yes,
Desk.
yeah.
See a lot of.
Right, that's the other one,
So
yeah.
we need to replace, I believe, all of those.
How many do you have?
Better question for Chris.
Oh, okay, just,
At least 6 or 7,
okay.
but I think we'll probably maybe bring that down 1 or 2,
Mhm.
so.
Does it increase the use in summertime with visitors?
Yes.
Not,
Less than it used to. It's nothing like what it used to be.
right.
Because
Used to
it's
be
all
long
full.
lines everywhere I go. One time we road trip through Canada
Yes.
and I wanted to stop and check
Yeah.
email and, oh my, there was a long line of people waiting for
Yes.
computers, but
We
that's
used to have
wild.
quite the scene in the old library.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
The two computers.
People would get hostile.
Yes.
Oh, no, they would.
So I have a question about personal services seems to be a lot lower than in past years.
Professional services?
Yeah. The budget is lower than
Oh,
what it used to be.
We're actually, that's what we're actually spending. I don't have the budget from last, or 22, 23 to say
Yeah,
why
it was
we made such a significant increase.
What are
Is that
professional?
Yeah, what is
Professional services, it is a bunch of things. A lot of it is subscriptions, a lot of, you know, old days we used to get software, now we buy subscriptions to things, and so professional services is things like the subscription to our, online our catalog system.
Mhm.
It's, things like our email distribution service, where we're constant contact, we can send everybody an email, it's, yeah, it's basically, it's just services, contracted services for either a lot of online programs, like our new calendar software that we talked about last time.
okay.
Things like that, the platform that hosts our summer reading program, all those things fall under professional services. Yeah, I'm gonna double check that number.
And why was it so high in 22, 23?
That I can't say.
Or high?
It was like half of what we spent last year. That's the only thing. I can see.
Unless,
I'll double check
so
that.
are some of
I
the
haven't seen
subscriptions for more than 1 year?
We do that when we can.
Yeah, so
Multi-year
maybe that's
subscriptions.
why.
That could be a reason why, yes.
Or did we adopt some new, something that needed a extra amount of work?
Like Windows 11 or something. Huh,
Interesting, okay.
So now what happens with this? You're going to present, if we vote on it and say, you present it then to the assembly?
Finance director and the borough manager, so I'll send it down to Steve and Jody. And they'll take a look at it, and they'll take a look at all the borough budgets that are submitted for the various departments, and then sort of figure out, what needs to change.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I moved to approve this budget with the caveat that the professional services that we allow Tara to increase that according to whatever was the actual in the last 2 years.
I second that.
Any other discussion?
Yeah, I like that.
I wanna add one thing, thank you for that, that's
Yeah.
perfect. Is that the borough manager has asked us all to cut our budgets. This is what we need, but that is also the reality.
Mm-hmm.
And so, so I'm presenting this with the understanding that there might be some comments and suggestions coming from admin about what is possible, what's
Okay.
not possible. But as you can see, it is a status quo budget. There's nothing
Right.
here that is new and exciting. It's costs that are outside of our control. Windows 11 is the one thing that's flexible then. And just, for anybody who actually watches this, and it doesn't have a packet in hand, essentially it's the PMEA, the union increases that were approved by the Assembly for wages,
Right.
and a 12% healthcare increase. And I believe that's probably an estimate. Sometimes it's higher than that, sometimes it's lower. We usually don't find that out until the budget's been passed. The utility increases are due to our meter being replaced. That's
Right.
the majority of the difference, is we went to a smart meter and it's smart enough to tell how much electrical we use. So, yeah.
All or something.
Yes.
Yeah.
Magic of the library. Creates
So
its own
there's-
electricity.
And also lumped in with that is just the fact that the rates have also
Yes.
gone up by a fairly healthy amount. And so that's why our utilities are up so much. And then there's the Windows 11 thing that I've
Yeah.
already explained. So these are the these are kind of the four key, things that are going up. Everything else I've tried to just toe the line on and not make any increases, because I think this is a big number for us.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And I don't know how it's gonna play out in the context of the larger borough budget.
so when does this go in front of the,
So I
assembly?
wanna say, first meeting in May is what they
Okay,
aim
so,
for, and then it needs 3 readings, so usually by the first meeting in June, it gets,
so we have time to find out about that.
yeah, and I actually have to have this into, finance director by the 15th.
Okay,
of this month.
okay. All right, so, all those in favor of the,
All in favor of this budget?
yeah, all those in favor of the proposed budget?
Yes.
As
Say aye.
amended, right?
And if
As amended.
amendment is necessary in professional service.
Right, but that's what I was trying to say.
Yes.
All those in favor of Deb's,
Amendment?
no, well, yes,
A possible-
motion, that's the
Motion.
word.
That's the word.
It is, thank you. All those in favor of Deb's motion?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
And Tara
Nobody's
voted.
opposed. Yes,
So Tara, from here, then, if you discover that, yes, that is a correct number, you would just go with that.
Yes, you guys have just authorized me to do so.
Yes, and if it's not a correct number, then what happens? If it has to
Didn't
be
we just
higher?
authorize her to?
Yeah.
We just authorize you to change it.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah.
okay, moving along to do business. And we will now be talking about the Art Education Endowment Fund guidelines. And so, John, now is your turn if you would like to speak with us.
Yeah, I have a couple of things before we start getting into the actual documents. Anyway, first I want to say hello to everybody.
Hi, Tara.
Hi,
And I'm here basically because the guidelines are up for your potential approval, that just to answer any questions you might have on anything in the document that you feel you need to discuss. But first, I want to acknowledge the board for your public service. For me, you're one of the most important public groups in Petersburg, really.
Thank you.
Yeah, of
Yes.
course. And then there's a lot of help. You bring the community together, and I call it like a goodwill mission. That's what you're really doing. And it's an important mission, especially in these days. So again, thank you for spending the time and energy, and it's an important one. And then Tara, well, I kept the list short, but anyway, she has made herself very available, a really good sounding board for ideas and related to the guidelines. And then she really helped me with the borough, understanding the borough policies and the library policies, so that the guidelines can match up as much as possible to what those are. Then the big help, and I'm lucky I'm here today because of her, was formatting all of the intricacies of the computer, which I'm very poor at. Emails, I'd say, oh, I got this document. I don't know what to do with it. How do I get it to you? And then it ends up email it to her, and then she creates a PFD and sends it to me. And so, it was a long end around, but we got there. So great help, a lot of patience, a lot of support. So I really thank Tara for that. Other than that, I think, I will probably check out when we're done with this. I'll probably say, I'll just hit my mute and I'll probably disappear after we have this discussion. That's okay with everybody.
Yeah.
So other than that, I guess you guys would want to discuss the proposals and hopefully you feel good about approving it. So thank you.
So Tara, is there anything different than what we had before? I mean, that we read.
It's a big question.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, she didn't highlight anything.
I didn't have anything. John, would you say the major differences are between this version and the last version? Or the version that we're currently working on?
Can you hear there?
Did you hear me okay? Huh.
No, he must have turned something on. Do this, do that again. Hear you, John?
Talk to me? Anybody?
Yeah.
Okay, who's speaking, please?
That's me, and I'm gonna.
Okay, go
turn
ahead.
the Camera here, so it makes more sense. So, what would you say the major changes are to the guidelines as opposed to what?
All right.
they
Yeah,
previously-
I did highlight a few of them, so I'll just kind of be brief. If you go under general guidelines, under 1D, if equipment and or facilities are not available at the PPL for an AAE activity or program, the director has submitted to the board for consideration, approval, and then it just says the board is authorized to approve spendable amount funds for activities or programs that will not occur at the PPL. So that's nice to have in there because you might have a program, big or small, where, well, gee, but all their equipment's over here, but do we have the authority to have this AE activity over there? So the
Right.
answer was best, I thought, to get that in there. And so that it makes it really clear. Yeah, board, if you want to let that activity be over here, go right ahead.
Mhm,
I think
Good.
that's important.
that is.
The other, yeah. Then if you go to fund integrity. So section 3, there's a whole bunch of, that's probably the major changes. I think that's about it. Yeah, section 3 has the most changes. So basically what it comes down to is it's unlikely that there will be any foul play, misbehavior. I really doubt that that's going to happen at the library. I was in Petersburg, believe it or not, I lived in Petersburg for 40 years. Can you believe that? And not one time have they arrested a librarian or a board member. So I feel pretty secure that this is probably never going to be implemented. But I felt like that there needed to be a way that if you found some untoward business going on by a board member or the board, a little bit of taking this or that they shouldn't take, or maybe, God forbid, a librarian in the future. So it was a way to look at that and try to get it in a way that made sense, that is workable. It was difficult to do. And so this is the best that I could come up with a lot of help from Tara in terms of the library assembly and the library policy. So I'll go down it real quick if I can. So 3A. So if there's when the director's position is vacant, things shut down. It's
Okay,
pretty that simple. I mean, the idea is that you're going to have a director that is functioning there, doing the job. And if they're not there, then that program, that this fund needs to shut down until that the vacancy is fulfilled. So then everything goes back, you're functioning again. And during that time, B, that's there. Okay, C. So then you say, if there is a violation, what happens in general now? First of all, if there's a violation, the board looks at the situation and saying, oh, we had a complaint over here, and this librarian or an aide to the librarian somehow misappropriated $700 and went out and had a pizza. Okay, so that needs to be looked at, and then the board, of course, would be the obvious place to go. Now, if it happens to be a board member participating in the party for the pizza was part of that pizza, part of the $700 theft, well, then it might have to go. I would assume that, and I didn't get this in here, but and Tara can help me with this. But I'm assuming that if you've got only one board member and there's a majority of the board, that you have your authority there. You got 4 members, all you need that for a majority. You can go ahead and do what you want to do in terms of resolving that. So that's kind of what I was thinking about that.
Okay.
And then if the board, maybe the board is not functioning properly, and you got a whole bunch of board members, which I really thought was gonna happen. But in case that happened, one board member could assume the authority to try and resolve the issue. That's a bit tricky, but I put it in there. And then finally, if all else fails and all the board members are in cahoots, which, my God, how could it ever happen? Then the library director could step in and go through the process. So again, it's very generalized, but I felt you had to have something in there. So it is what it is, I guess.
Okay.
And then if that happens, and if the board, if there's a violation that's clearly visible and acknowledged, then everything shuts down again until that's corrected. When that's corrected, everything kicks in again. Everything's back to normal, okay? And then any questions? That's a big one. So any questions on that? That's very generalized, but any questions on that? Any thoughts on that?
I do. I think you're very wise to take everything into consideration. Hopefully, none of this will ever happen, but we now have a way to deal with it if something untoward happens. I think that's very astute planning on your part.
Yeah. Totally agree.
Yeah.
I have one more thing that is 2D, that's a little different than the last one.
What, sorry, what was it?
Can you stay on integrity for just a minute? And maybe John has some thoughts on this. On 2B, I've got it marked as a little confusing. Only because it appears to diffuse the responsibility. Which can be, I mean, again, if we're just doing possible scenarios, it diffuses it as either the board or a board member or the director, and it's like, then if there's too many people who are identified as being responsible, then nobody's responsible. In a way, but I think, and John or Tara can answer, I think the idea on this section is, in the first place, the board is responsible.
Right.
And if the board is not available or is, as John said, in cahoots with whatever's going wrong, then it's any board member is responsible. And if nobody on the board, because the entire board is in cahoots, then the responsibility for protecting the integrity of the fund falls to the director. Is that the intent of it?
That, as far as I'm concerned, you hit it on the head.
Okay.
So I just maybe, rather than using the word just or, maybe saying, in the first place, it is the board. And if the board's not available as a whole, then it's any board member. And
Raise
that-
a concern.
just to make that more clear.
So like. it
Yeah,
is
we certainly can make that revision. I feel like we should get it right. And so I'm sure Tara's taking lots of notes for me. And so I think we could come up with some language and then present this again. I have no problem with that at all. It'd be fine.
Not the word edit.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to get it right. So every board member feels comfortable with and we'll try. I'll ask Tara to give me a hand with that language and see.
So it
I'll
would
try
be
and-
delineating clearly in 3B that the board would be the first line of defense. And then a board member, if it's just one board member bringing it up, would be the second line of defense or something like that. That's the
So
intent.
can I read that and then you guys help me? Would that be okay? Can I read it, that 3C? Can I read it to you and so I get it clear in my head?
Oh, on 3C, sure.
Okay, if there's a violation of the AEE guidelines as necessary, in the following order, it is the responsibility of the board or a board member or the director to correct the violations or violation as soon as possible, such that there is compliance with the AAE guidelines. Okay, so where, anybody have a specific recommend on language at this point? Doesn't,
I'm just wondering, is B redundant?
I'm kind of thinking
It
that
is.
now that I
Yes.
see C,
Yes,
B says it without without the determined order, but then C does. So C covers what was in B
right,
and places the order
Yes.
in it. So it
Right.
could be that B is just eliminated.
Right,
It could say it is if there is a violation, it
Yes.
is the responsibility of the board as necessary in the following order. You can combine B and C.
mhm,
Yeah.
yes.
What do you think?
Does
John?
that work, John?
okay, let me think a second here. Board, yep. I'm thinking, I'm reading B. It's the responsibility of the board. Okay, that's good. Or a board member or the director to ensure that, the only thing I see missing is in the following order.
Mhm.
Right, so if you
That's it.
put that B at the beginning and then say if there is a violation, you could just continue on with that. This is the order or something, or combine them to shorten
Yeah,
it
so
up
the
because
in-
it is duplication.
In the following order would be the key one so far. That's
Yes.
missing up in B. So C,
Right.
as soon as possible is not in that. And such that there is compliance is not in there. So those phrases would be, in my view, included in B. Right? So you would make
Right,
B the,
you could move the following order portion of it up to B. And then
Yeah.
in C, that's where you lay out the details. As in the
Yes.
1, 2, 3, and 4
Mhm.
Roman numerals. After 6 months, if a violation is not corrected, then have that be the C
Right.
portion. But, you know, I
So-
would also offer that wordsmithing is always difficult in a large group.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
when we get down to this nitty gritty wordsmithing detail, I think the intent of what we want to do here is real clear now. So
Mhm.
we should assign it to one person to wordsmith.
yes.
Perfect.
So John and I will work on.
Yes.
Okay,
Taking care of the comments and.
Yeah, that sounds good, yeah.
And then we'll have the revised version at the next
Perfect.
meeting.
Perfect.
Does that work
Yeah.
for you, John?
Okay. Yeah, I think that's great. And I'm sure Tara took a lot of notes, right, Tara? Took a lot of notes. Okay. Yeah, all right. Should I keep going? Do we get through this whole thing or do I keep going? Do we get all that?
I have one more thing that the board, that will change sort of our procedure for approving, expenditures from expendable amount, and that is, item 2D.
okay.
Program funding is reimbursement based. Once an AEE activity program or purchase of materials is approved by the board, the director must, and here's a list of things the director must do. This is not the procedure we've been following up until now. It's not been reimbursement based. Basically, you guys approve a request, say $1,000 for this program. I get the money from the $1,000 from the fund and do the program. So instead, we're going to do this reimbursement base, because what can happen and has happened is that I request $1,000 and the program costs 995. So instead we will pay for the program outright. And then when I have actual costs, I will request reimbursement from, and actually I just did this with Pia's class too. You guys approved a certain amount and it ended up being significantly less than that. Because we made so much through the class fees. And so I was able to request less than what was actually, and so it'll help the overall balance of the fund. I'll probably end up requesting less and, well, I can only end up requesting less. If I need to request more, I would need to come back for board approval to do that. And I probably wouldn't do that.
Yeah,
So reimbursement based, so you'll be seeing a different protocol being followed by me. I'll ask for approval to do the program. And then after the program is over, you'll see a report from me that follows the guidelines that are listed in there.
And when you make the original request to have the program and to fund it, you'll have an estimated amount that it's gonna cost, and we'll say, sure. or not, and then the reality will come later.
Yeah.
Funds, okay,
Mhm.
that sounds logical.
Yes.
Yes. Okay,
Shall I
Is
go
that
on?
good?
Should I
Yeah.
continue? All right,
Sure,
yes,
all right, okay. So, 3E, if the board is dissolved or terminated per AE guidelines, section 4, board duties cease and all the programs stop. And when the board reestablishes, maybe not a good wording there, but let's see, when the board reestablishes the board, does that make sense?
No, when the.
It says when the borough.
Borough reestablishes the board.
Does that make sense?
yeah,
Yeah,
All right, okay, when the borough, I'm sorry, I said board. When the borough reestablishes the board is in compliance with section 4. The board resumes its activities and the programs begin again.
okay,
mhm,
F, it's just appropriate if you're dealing with funds that the finance officer be aware of what's happening. That's basically what it is. There's no connection in terms of official duties other than acknowledgement that this is what happening to some of the library funding. So that was the thought behind that. And then when the board gets it all together, then you just let the thing, the money is coming in, so that they have an accurate picture of the funding for the library. Again, that's the board. Think about that and say if it makes sense, and that we would leave that in. And then H, the Alaska Community Foundation, the borough, or other agencies or individuals do not have the authority to be involved in AE decisions related to a violation of AE guidelines or AE guidelines section 4. And the reason section 4 is repeated because it's really, really important. But again, that could be a point of discussion if the board feels it needs it. But basically, my understanding that the funding for this is in control of the Alaska Community Foundation. There's no direct relationship money-wise between the borough government and Alaska Community Foundation. That's the separation. And therefore, when it comes under discussion about when does funding come in and when does it not come into the library, is controlled by the guidelines and Alaska Community Foundation. So that's the separation that I believe is appropriate.
okay,
Okay. Let me look here. I think there's anything else. I think that's okay. I think that's all the ones that I had checked off.
okay. So it sounds like we won't be having a vote on this or accept this right now. We need to have the rewording come back to us.
We can take.
Yes, we'll just table it. Thank you for the word. Wordsmith.
Yeah, we did.
So
do we
we'll,
need to
we'll,
make a motion to table? I make a motion to table the discussion about the AEE procedures. Thank you.
okay, all in favor of tabling this till we have more information?
Bye.
Okay. Opposed? No, all right, thank you. Thank you so much, John, for helping clarify everything and bringing us your concerns, and thank you so much again in person for all you've done and all the money you've given to this fund for our community and our library.
It's so huge.
Thank you
It
so
is.
much.
Very much.
You
I
betcha,
can't
yeah.
even, yeah.
And we
it's-
miss you
Yeah.
up here.
We do, it's
Yeah,
amazing.
I have to say, I miss Petersburg, a lot. You are, it's a very special place.
Yes,
And
it
so,
is.
anyway, yeah. All right,
so
well,
financial.
we'll get back to work on that and, we'll get it back to see how what you think about it. And, so I'm gonna, excuse myself now and say, see you later, I guess. Okay?
Say hi to
Thanks,
Tara.
All right.
I wanted to
bye-bye
say,
now.
I recognize you're trying to make this as useful as possible, and I really appreciate you spending
Yeah.
your to following up like this and to, with that spirit in mind.
You betcha.
Yeah, thanks.
Okay, thanks a lot, guys. See you
Bye,
later.
John.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
I do have a question, Tara, that I didn't want to bring up right now because I thought it's something that you could talk to John about, or maybe you have the answer. What happens when John is gone?
Those guidelines cannot be changed.
Okay,
Yeah,
but then who's in charge of his part, I mean, his say-so of the fund?
The guidelines,
The guide,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
okay.
guidelines will be that.
And now they're just gonna be enshrined once John's
Yeah.
gone.
Which is
Okay,
why we're
got
really
it.
trying to
Get it tweaked
Get
to
it
the
right.
perfection.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
I
perfect.
think that is such a good idea on his part.
Yeah,
It's a
He
really
knows-
unique and
Yeah,
awesome idea.
because you never know who would follow him.
I know.
It
Right.
could be somebody who completely disagrees with what he's doing.
Mhm.
No, I think it's very smart. on
Yeah.
his part.
Yeah. Okay, fabulous. So I think we got a lot done there and we'll look forward to hearing from you again, Tara.
Okay.
So moving on to confidential B, under new business confidentiality of library records policy.
Oh,
Actually came up at our last meeting,
Mhm.
so I had a question about confidential children's library records specifically. And so I thought, well, what a great time for us to take another look at the confidentiality policy. And when I looked at it, I thought, well, there's notes we can make. So I brought it to you in the form of
Okay.
mhm.
a vote. And so the changes I've made, there's just a few. The main one is that now the Alaska statute, which really governs our confidentiality
Mhm.
policy, is quoted verbatim in the text of it's referenced in the old policy, but it's probably better it just sits right in the middle of the policy, because it's more clear that way, I feel. So now it's in there. I've also removed language that refers to shared school and public library catalog.
Oh, right.
Yeah, I can't believe it was still in there.
Yeah, that's been a long time. That was really cool when we had it, I
It
must
was really
say.
cool when he had it, so I won't go into the details, but basically, it was no longer relevant because we have a standalone.
Yeah.
Right,
We
okay,
do not share our records. with school
Okay.
libraries anymore.
Probably good.
And as we've been updating policies over the months and years, oh, I have a question.
No,
No? Okay.
no,
Okay.
Hand just.
I only raised both hands.
So I think I mentioned this with the last policy you guys did, so I'm trying to make them a little more readable, because I'm putting, as we go through this, I'm putting them on the website. And they've always been buried on the website, but I'm making like them a little more obvious so people can find them easier, and also making them so that somebody might actually understand what they're reading.
gotcha.
And so I cleaned up the policy just to make it a little more clear
Mhm.
about what we do. So does anyone have any questions about, I mean, it is such it's an idea that a lot of people don't even think about,
Mhm.
specifically whether or not they have access to their children's
Right,
accounts, what's checked out on their children's accounts. This is the real practical, sort of difficult issue that comes up. It has come up once or twice, around confidentiality of library records, and the state of Alaska statutes dictate that there are only certain situations where children's records can be accessed by caregivers, guardians, and
Mhm.
it is, that's why this
Yeah.
is outlined as clearly as we can, and so it's, what is it?
how does that fit with the AG, what he came up with?
There's no relationship at all.
Okay,
That's a separate thing.
So is this what is in here? Because there's a highlighted portion at the very end. So is this the policy
The
here?
current policy is page 9 and 10,
Okay,
and then the new policy, which is what's up for the vote.
oh, I see.
It's on the page 11, yeah.
I was gonna go, this doesn't,
So does everybody, because some just got our packets and stuff, do you, I know you wanna vote, Tara. But do you want to take this home and look at it and, think about it and then we'll address it at the next meeting?
no.
Are you comfortable with what? Okay.
It looks
This is
okay
the
to me.
proposed update.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm a speed reader.
Oh, okay.
And, so I just had to read the title, which I hadn't done because I was busy reading the content.
Sure.
I'm like, shoot, I'm getting confused. So I'll move that the proposed update to the confidentiality that we approve it.
I second that.
Although, okay, so
Do
any
we
other
want
further
to have any
discussion?
more discussion? So I guess in my understanding, the 1, 2, 3, 4th dot under
Bullet.
the fourth bullet. Parents or legal guardians request titles of overdue, lost, or damaged items their minor children have borrowed. So that's the only time when a parent can request what a child has checked out. Correct?
That and also the bullet point underneath of that with those.
If the child gives consent.
Mhm.
Consent.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, okay.
So there's two you
Okay,
know, the first is a broader situation, but there's two potential situations. One is the basically the child is in violation of the contract with the library, which is to return items on time
Right.
and to,
And to help the
intact.
parents find them.
And yeah, and basically it's also that, it's probably gonna find one in the bed.
Hopefully not under the refrigerator soaked in.
yeah,
And just under discussion, I love this last bullet point because it,
Yes.
although it does, and I just have to say, it does almost, open us up for a clarification because anybody under 18 is deemed to not be able to give consent
Mhm.
legally. But the library is saying children can do that
Yes.
Mhm.
in this
Mhm.
little limited context.
Yeah.
Which I think is great.
Yeah,
Right,
I really like that.
and it's so important because kids face things that they need help with
Yes.
in ways that, yeah. Yeah, because
It makes sense.
there are circumstances in life where kids might need information that their parents are trying to keep from them.
Yes.
okay, so I call for the vote then. All those in favor,
I,
opposed?
Aye.
Okay, we passed that proposed update. Thank you, Tara. And now, the background check policy.
oh, shoot. Right. I have another meeting that I'm sharing in 10 minutes. So.
Okay, I'm gonna go fast, because this is actually easy.
And
So,
I will be very quick also.
background check policy, at the last meeting, Deb brought up, now we're doing background checks for our safety audit. Do we have a policy? No, we do not have a policy. The bill, has a policy, so the HR department does the background checks on our behalf. We don't actually do them.
Okay.
And so they have a
Perfect.
policy. It does not yet cover this new situation. They're going to revise it this year and it
Perfect.
will be part of that.
Okay.
And so we would like to stay under their
Yes.
policy.
Mhm. Make it easy.
Make it easy and make it consistent, because they're the ones actually doing the
Do we have to
check.
vote on that?
I don't think so.
It's just the way it is.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Our staff is really
Yes.
borough employees. so-
Yes.
right,
Mhm.
right.
Good.
Okay, thank you, Tara, for clarifying that.
Okay,
Okay,
real quick.
Friends of the Library
Yeah, real
update.
quick, our next sale is April 6th, which the next day is the start of National Library Week. And I haven't heard anything, Marilyn, if Sue wants to do something about that in
About
relation
it.
with I need to put an ad in the paper, so I'll probably put National Library Week on top, and then the sale is April 6th, but I don't know if anything else, I
I'll
haven't
give
heard
her,
anything.
I'll give her a call. and
Yeah,
see
good,
what's up.
okay. The last sale we had was on a Friday instead of a Saturday, so we didn't make quite as much as we normally do, but we still brought in $308.
Great.
So it's gone very well. So, oh, the other thing is that, I did receive a call from someone who wanted to bring in 2 big totes of books. And I said, could you please bring them April, we have the room from Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday before the sale. So if anybody asks you if they can wait until April 2nd to bring the donation in, that would be really helpful.
They can go right in the room.
Go right in the room.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yes.
Good
Thanks,
meeting,
Deb.
thank you. Okay, bye.
Thanks, Deb.
Goodbye. See you. So you're still down on volunteers?
Yeah. I've got,
I'll be there. I'm always there.
yeah, and
Normally.
And I'll be there too.
and Cindy's not here, so I don't know if somebody else is able to come in at 11 instead of wait,
Or,
I've got Mary and me and Denise.
Let's put an email out to the.
Yeah, I was going to do that
Yeah.
after, yeah,
To all the,
we should
yeah,
probably recruit a few new people
Yeah.
just for general purposes
Right.
anyway, to have more to pick from.
yeah. So that's, I just, I looked at all the figures for 2023, and Terry, you had given me a figure of what had been collected at the front desk through November 7th. It was $1,300.
I did look it up, $1,400 for the entire year.
Oh, good,
And
okay.
keep in mind that includes the sales off the carts, there's.
Yeah, yeah,
As well as silent auction items that people come in later and pay
Right.
for, as well as if someone wants to use their credit card.
Yes.
That's the book sales. So that's actually not the cart sales, it's I would say probably 1,000 of it is cart sales and.
Yeah.
The remainder is book
Okay.
sales.
but that's still money that's coming in
Yeah,
that wasn't
great.
coming in before. I think that's great.
Off the cart.
Off the cart.
Right,
Yeah. So that was
that's
kind of
really
the-
cool.
Yeah,
It's really nice to have that option, by the way. Thanks.
yes, especially
Tolerating
the
it.
credit card too.
And taking care of it, because that's a lot.
That's a lot of work for the front desk person.
and I just realized tomorrow is when you wanted to have that little meeting.
Yeah, it's at 11 o'clock tomorrow.
I know, and I'm
Okay.
like on childcare this week.
I sent a,
Email early, but
Yeah.
it was when you were gone.
Did I?
it's well, you're on the
Meeting.
email list.
Yeah.
It's for future book sales. I want ideas on how we should continue the book sales. Do you have new ideas? Are we doing something that maybe we should not do? Or it's 11 o'clock tomorrow in this room.
Oh, okay.
I will be here. I know Cindy's
I'm
on.
on babysitting duty.
I know, I
tomorrow,
might
too.
have to bring, if I can, if I come, I
Grandbaby.
might have to bring Maeve, if I can convince
Well,
Jeff. he can
Or
take
just,
her.
if you have ideas, get the either text
I
or
think it's
email.
going great.
Yeah,
I didn't, yeah, I don't.
well,
know.
think about it,
Okay.
and because I do want ideas, and Tara will be here, I'll be here, Cindy. I think Denise said she's coming, I think Sue Paulson is coming, yeah,
If I can get away by then, but,
it's 11 o'clock tomorrow.
okay.
Yeah,
Chelsea's bringing the baby out to try me by myself at our house with the baby. So we'll see how long that lasts. Today she was there with the baby. It lasted an hour and a half and then,
this is what I did at 10. I drove Nico
And
around until he fell asleep. And then I sit in the car at Sandy Beach and read until he wakes up with the car running.
we're getting. through
Anyway,
it.
yeah,
Yeah.
okay, sorry about that, Tara. Okay, thank you, Barb, for your update,
May
and the
7th
next meeting is May 7th.
Tentatively, depending on-
Yes, and so do I hear a motion to adjourn?
I move we adjourn.
I second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Right.
I'm in trouble because I'm late now.
Uh-oh.
I said I'd be back at 1, but